Hey, race fans, Steve Letarte here with AJ Allmendinger and Parker Kligerman for another NASCAR America at home. Guys, the Cup cars head to Atlanta, but this time a little bit later in the season. It's going to be hot, it's going to be slick, and if you can believe it, we're already 9 races in, so when we throw the points up, as you see right here, 6 names highlighted in yellow already. We have Logano, Keselowski, Hamlin with 2 wins each, Harvick, Elliott, and Bowman each with a win. Those 6 guys are in the playoffs, there's no doubt. But even only 9 weeks in, I think it's time to start talking about who's going to make the playoffs and who isn't. And I'm telling you, it gets heated. You have Boyer at only plus 16, Matty D at only 14. How about 7-time Jimmy Johnson at plus 7, Byron and Reddick just out. Parker, when I look at this, it's going to be a fascinating summer of racing when I look at the numbers and the names that are going to be battling for the playoffs.
No doubt. And it's really incredible when you look at that list. On the bubble there, you have a 7-time champion. You have Austin Dillon, who's won races, has been a part of the playoffs before, but this is, a tough place to be. You've got William Byron trying to get in there, Tyler Reddick in his first season, right behind him, Chris Buescher. I mean, it's just this really interesting group of inexperience versus experience. And, I think that's what's going to be really fascinating to watch. And for the drivers like Clint Boyer, Matty D, they really can't slip up right now because it's so tight. And I know we're only 9 races in, but this is when it really starts to, show itself. And as you mentioned, you get in that summer stretch, the races get hotter, it gets slick, it gets tougher to really perform. And so this is going to be a really interesting next couple of weeks, just looking at this playoff bubble right now and seeing those names, because it's names we don't always get to talk about sometimes, but now they're definitely showing that they deserve to be talked about, and hopefully they find themselves in the playoffs and showing us that they have more than we thought.
Yeah, Parker, I mean, what really stands out to me is how condensed and tight the points are. You just spoke about it right there, and the fact is that with an incident or a bad weekend, especially with no practice, we've seen certain teams running better than we would expect, and I think that lends itself because of no practice. Teams show up, if they hit the setup right, they're really fast, they have a solid race. But if you have a bad race, Tyler Reddick stands out to me. I mean, just like 1 race ago, he was in the playoff. Now he's minus 35. So with the points so tight, every weekend is so important, especially right now with the schedule the way it is, with no practice. These teams, the engineers, the crew chiefs, the drivers, they have to show up ready to go, because if they miss it, they have no practice to fix the car, and 1 bad race we can see really can drop you in the points.
AJ, you can't say it enough. I'm team no practice. I like to see these guys. They're the best in the world. Drop the green and make these guys go to the front and try to figure it out. You mentioned how tight and condensed it is. I also look at names that I think can win. Like, I look Tyler Reddick back in 18th. It wouldn't surprise me, as fast as he is, Mr. Excitement, that a run comes to him, that he gets his car in position, a late restart. I would not be shocked to see Tyler Reddick, to see William Byron go to victory lane. I think Jimmy Johnson is going to win a race this year. That just squeezes this group up. So the question I guess I pose to you guys is, all right, 6 winners. We have 17 more races. How many winners will be in the playoffs? How many guys win races through the regular season?
Well, you mentioned a couple there that I definitely agree with. I would say one that maybe not a lot of people paying attention to would be Chris Buescher, because, moving over to Roush Fenway, that 17 car was always so fast with Ricky Stenhouse on the super speedways. Chris Buescher is a solid super speedway racer. That is someone I see that could surprise a lot of people getting into victory lane. He's outside the playoffs right now, and that would really send a wrench into someone like Austin Dillon's, hopes right now, because he's right on the bubble. He's really going to have to find a way to get in victory lane. RCR showed a lot of speed, but that really ratchets up the pressure. So if we're putting numbers on it, I don't know. I can't say there's a definitive number of if we're going to have more than 16 winners. But I think you're going to get really close just looking at that group right there and how competitive these teams are and how close they are right now.
Give us a number, Parker.
That's not an answer. What is that? That is the worst answer I have ever heard. You're done. Mute Parker. You're done. You had your chance. 15. Okay, I had to pry it out of him, but apparently, AJ, he's going to go with 15, although it was the longest-winded non-answer in the world. How about you, AJ? Can you get a little more condensed and maybe to a number?
I'm going to go 13, because if I look at drivers that you would think you would expect to win, maybe Eric Jones, he gets a win there. Jimmy Johnson, I'm with you, Steve. Hendrick Motorsports right now is so fast. I would really feel like Jimmy Johnson gets a win. Maybe Boyer's just more consistent. Truex, you talk about Chris Buescher. Let's talk about the guy that was 100 feet from winning the Daytona 500, Ryan Newman. We've seen it Talladega last year. about won the race. So I really feel like Ryan Newman can come back, especially at the super speedway races, and win a race. And if somebody like that we don't even look in the top 20 right now in points, goes and wins the super speedway, that really just kind of messes the whole points up. So I feel like we're going to get 13 winners. You'll still have about 3 drivers making in on points.
Well, I like that. That's a good season view. But, guys, that's the whole season. That's the regular season. We're heading to Atlanta this weekend. We're going to see Cup cars in the heat at one of the slickest racetracks we run at. I don't care. I've been hearing about rules and power and downforce. BS, don't care. Let me tell you, I don't care. You don't have enough downforce, and you already have too much power for 20-lap tires in Atlanta. So the real question is, you said how many winners we'll have for the year. Who's the winner in Atlanta?
AJ, you go first this time.
You want me to go first on this?
Please, just an answer. So is what I'm looking at. An answer and a little description. Try to show Parker how to do it.
You know, I mean, my heart wants to say Jimmy Johnson because on these mile-and-a-half racetracks, the Hendrick Motorsports cars have been so fast. But, you know, the king around there at times, especially if it goes to where they have to run the bottom. This is where I would question with no rubber on the racetrack. Now, granted, you'll have trucks and Xfinity, so how much rubber gets laid down, but with no practice, the guy that I feel like really hits the marks around that place, Kevin Harvick. He won't have a splitter or anything left on the car. He'll have driven the left front corner around that yellow line. I want Jimmy Johnson to win. I think he'll have a chance. But if I have to pick one guy and put my money on him at Atlanta, it's Kevin Harvick.
That was an easy pick. Come on. All right. Well, I'm going to say
at least a pick.
Yeah, at least it's a pick. It's a pick. Here, I can make it really short for you here, Steve. The winner of Atlanta is going to be Martin Truex Jr. because they're going to find, you know, we see that he's really good on the long runs most of the time. He's really good on the wore-out surfaces. Hasn't gotten to victory lane. It's Martin Truex Jr. winning this weekend.
I think you've all picked great guys. Harvick's going to be fast. Truex is going to be fast. I think my sleeper is Joey Logano. I think he's going to be better than people think. Paul Wolfe is going to continue to make adjustments. You talk about a slick racetrack you're going to have to work on. But I actually picked Georgia's own. I got Chase Elliott going to victory lane. He has rode the roller coaster. He's been close at races. They have gone away from him. He's won races. He had one go away at Bristol by his own doing. Look, he overdrove the corner, took Logano out. But I just think that the Hendrick Motorsports equipment is as good as it's ever been. I think downforce is still – good cars are still better than bad cars. And when I look at Hendrick, Bowman's the fastest. But we saw him really wreck on his own at Charlotte, just running a car so loose. He's making speed. I'm not knocking him. But it's a management-type race in Atlanta. When I think about management, it matches his personality. I mean, have you ever seen Chase Elliott? I mean, he's as flat line as they come, and I think that helps him. I think he understands how to manage tires. Alan Gustafson on top of the pit box knows how to come up with a game plan with no practice. They've proven it. So I'm taking Chase Elliott. I'll go one further. I think it's Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, 1-2. Joey Logano somewhere in the top 5. I do think the big names are going to move to the front. But I love this no practice. So real quick, you got a couple minutes left. We talk about big names. Let's throw some other names out there. Surprises to me. Tyler Reddick is fast, but he's more than fast. He's finishing these races. John Hunter Nemechek, I've dug, I've cried, I've texted. I'm not getting anything for information on why their cars are all of a sudden so fast. So I'm going to give the credit to John Hunter. Congratulations, you're getting the credit from me. So how about you guys? Any surprises, or what do you think about those two names so far in 2020?
Well, I think John Hunter Nemechek has been fantastic. You know, really, as a rookie, the one thing that stands out was the second Darlington race. He made that mistake and DNF'd, and that really kind of cost him. But he's been fairly quick, especially if you look at that race team of where it usually runs. He's been really quick at all these racetracks. But if we're talking about Atlanta and somebody that, to me, really needs to step up and have a great run, William Byron. He's 5 points out of the playoffs right now. Those Hendrick Motorsports cars have been so fast. He's got to go to the front and have a solid race.
Good point. If I'm going to pick a couple drivers that surprise me, I'm going to jump on the John Hunter Nemechek bandwagon for sure, Steve. I'm with you on that one. That's been incredible to watch. That's one of the coolest performances I've seen in the last couple of years. Tyler Reddick, same zone, because you think about Tyler Reddick being super aggressive. He's really fast, but you wouldn't think that translates to the cup level because a lot of times we see drivers do that, and it bites them. It bites them consistently, but he hasn't had that happen. That's been awesome. But in the same vein, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, you know, they're getting shown up by these other rookies. And I really think that, you know, Christopher Bell is someone that I think really, as we hit this second portion of the season, is going to have to step up there, find those finishes, because that is that's not a good place to be, to have, you know, Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher or John Hunter Nemechek up there, you know, outperforming you at this time. So you know, there's always that hunt or that talk about, does the rookie battle matter? Do you care? But when you see two rookies doing so well, it really puts the onus on the ones that aren't to be, hey, where are you at? You got to step it up. So I look for those guys to definitely have to step it up.
Well, I think the door is getting ready to open for Christopher Bell. I think he finally got some cars to the finish. They needed to get over some bad luck. He took his dirt car out to the local dirt track on a Wednesday night and won. I don't care where you're winning. Winning helps everybody. Definitely. So maybe he's got a little bit of momentum, but those have been surprises, some big names at the top. Well, that's our thoughts heading into Atlanta. But you can always tune back in post-Atlanta on Sunday night. Myself, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Burton are going to be NASCAR America at home, give you our Atlanta thoughts. And more importantly, watch the race. Our friends on Fox have the coverage Sunday afternoon, the slipping and sliding toughest 1.5-mile track, in my opinion, on the whole circuit. Tune in to see who can battle Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.